Hello and welcome to the Simpler Futures free video for Wednesday, December 19th. This is David Starr again. Looks like I'll be filling in for Raghee for the remainder of this week. Now, last night when we were taking a look at things, we were taking a look at the S&P 500 from an Elliott wave perspective, and we discussed my reason for thinking that this market still had some upside to it, but I wanted to wait for some corrective pullbacks. We're going to look at this market from a shorter term perspective here. And what I want to look at is this move up from last Friday's low. And we've talked about how when we view things from an Elliott wave context, that moves in the direction of trend are five-wave moves. Moves against the trend, like this pullback into last Friday's low, are three-wave moves. So when we saw this move down end as a three-wave move and saw a recovery, that told us, hey, let's look for a new high and a new all-time high, because this was our previous all-time high. Further, we expect that move to continue not only to above this level, but until it has a five-wave structure. So at this point, we can view a completed five-wave structure in place, or at least a plausible one. That is a wave one up here, a wave two pullback. Wave three is typically the longest and strongest, and that's what this would be into here. The pullback into yesterday's low, you can see how very choppy and overlapped that is. That's how corrective moves unfold. This would be our wave four, and then a wave five to the upside. So further encouraging us to maybe see this as a warning sign is that if this is our fifth wave, it also now has a reasonable five-wave structure to it. So a little gap up this morning in the move and continuation to a new all-time high from yesterday's low, a little pullback for a wave two, and then a continued grind up. Again, longest leg up here for a plausible wave three, wave four pullback, wave five, if that's what this is, in the cash S&P. It made it a little shy of a new all-time high above what we had here earlier in the day. The futures continued up after the cash close, and there's plausibly five waves up in wave five. And so that really warns us that there is enough structure in place here that we could see some sort of pullback coming in. And this is where I want to give you some tips that'll put you ahead of probably well over 90% of the folks who try and use Elliott wave for their trading, is that this is not the spot of interest. So a lot of times people will learn, oh, yeah, you count to five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's where the move is over, and that's where you start looking to the downside. And so if you've been chomping at the bit to short, this is where you get short. No, that is not how you want to do it, because what Elliott wave tells us, it doesn't give us anything that tells us that the interpretation sketched out here is right. All it tells us is that these moves in the direction of trend, when they are done, they should have a five-wave structure. They don't tell us that every spot along the way where we might be able to propose a reasonable five-wave structure, and this one is very reasonable, is where it's going to turn. So it is entirely possible that this move just keeps cranking to the upside and has some other five-wave structure looking reasonably complete higher before the pullback. So I want you to not read into these messages anything more than they're telling us. This is telling us something very important, that it is in the direction of trend, that the direction of trend continues to be up, and that won't change until we see trend-like patterns unfolding to the downside. It is, however, a warning, and it's a warning that reinforces what we talked about last night, that corrective pullbacks are going to be the place to buy. So I've got nothing in here to rule out this market continuing in the direction of trend, but I do have some warnings that reinforce exactly what we were talking about yesterday. Wait for three-wave corrective pullbacks, which turn back up to buy. So that's what I'm going to be looking for going forward. Right? We'll talk about perhaps some possibilities about where to do that in the premium video, as well as covering some of these other markets we've had our eye on: crude, the euro, maybe a little bit more. So thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. I will be doing one more of these videos here tomorrow. We'll figure out what to look at then, and look forward to chatting with you again soon. Take care.